Welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us here another week. Hope you've been enjoying this springtime. We'll be talking some baseball, a little bit of softball here today on the show. I'll have Tom Bechtel with me later in the show, and a guy that you always think of when you think of baseball and softball here in the Valley. But first, we'll talk about our usual features. We're going to start off with the community champion this week. Our community champion this week is Sue Vizdes, who is a math teacher at Wheeling Park High School. And the reason I've chosen her as our community champion this week is that I had an opportunity to be there for the awards ceremony for the RESA 6 regional math competition last weekend, and my daughter was one of the participants, did very well. I'm proud of her. She's going to be moving on to the state competition. But the reason I chose Mrs. Vizdes is that the energy that she displayed and how excited she is about math and bringing that to the students so that so many kids can participate in that event and be involved with that. And sometimes you see that enthusiasm around sporting events. It's not as often maybe you see it around the academic events. And the way that she got excited about it causes you as a parent to be excited, causes the kids to be excited, and it's always good to see kids wanting to excel, wanting to achieve in the academic arena. My own kids are involved in a lot of sports, but I always want them to know, academics come first. That's very important. Sports are important to us too. But if you see those things, you see a teacher who's got that enthusiasm and passes that along, that's only going to cause good things to happen for our students in this area, for the parents in this area. And I thought it was just a great thing to see her enthusiasm and energy and all the hard work that she put into putting on that event. So Sue Vizdes, who, by the way, was one of my teachers when I was in school and still around and doing a great job, is the community champion this week on the Jamie Bordas Show. Next, quote of the week. And I did say baseball season is upon us, and so I've chosen a quote this week from Bill Veeck, former owner of several Major League franchises during his lifetime, including the Cleveland Indians. But he once said, "There are only two seasons, winter and baseball." And I think there's a lot of truth to that in some ways. You've got, and even if it's not organized baseball, back in the day when you would see the weather would break and you'd see people out in the streets playing pickup, whether it be baseball, wiffle ball, stickball, I don't care what it was, and then pretty soon the fields will start being filled with kids playing. And that happens all through the spring, the summer, and really now, even especially more than even back when I was growing up, into the fall with the fall ball that's developed for both baseball and softball. So really, there kind of is a way now that there really only is winter and baseball, and maybe we'll throw softball in there too on top of Mr. Veek's quote for the girls out there that are playing these days. But I thought a really appropriate quote for this time of the year because Major League Baseball will be getting underway. As I go driving around town, I see different kids getting started for practice. I'm coaching one of the assistant coaches for one of the Little League teams this year and always enjoy that. So I'm excited too. So great quote there by Mr. Veek. Legal tip this week. May seem obvious, may seem simple, but pay your taxes. Tax day will be here pretty soon. April 18th actually this year, a little bit of an oddity, but that's because the 15th falls on the weekend and 17th is a holiday. So push to the 18th for tax day, but make sure you do it. It's something that's required under the law. It's an obligation that we all have to make sure that we take care of Uncle Sam. You don't want to get yourself into a bad way with the government because you don't pay your taxes. So remember to start getting this stuff ready now because it does immediately follow Easter this year. And that's a busy time for everyone. A lot of people have Good Friday off work, and then you head into Easter weekend, then all of a sudden you're scrambling to try to get your taxes done. So maybe take the time, in the coming week here to get those done if you haven't done it yet, and maybe get a refund a little bit sooner, and take the time to do that so you both get it done, maybe get your refund a little sooner, and so you don't get into a bad way with the government. It is required under the law. I think everyone knows that or should know that, but it's not something you can just avoid doing or decide, hey, I'm going to blow this off. That's not only is it against the law, but it's not fair to the next guy down the road. If everybody else is paying their taxes, you should do it too because it's something that we all have to chip in to do to be able to have things like our roads repaired, to be able to have things like the baseball fields we're talking about, and the different things we have for our kids, and to be able to provide medical coverage to those that don't have it. All the different things that are done through the government, as a result of our taxes being paid. And I know there's a lot of concern out there about people that maybe don't pay taxes or people that maybe your taxes go to support those that aren't working and maybe could be. And maybe there are some reforms that are needed in different areas of the law, but until those things occur, got to pay them, so make sure you do. We need to take a break. When I come back, I'll have my guest with me this week. That's Tom Bechtel. Stay with me here on the Jamie Bordas Show.
Don't forget to do your homework.
All right, Mom. Trick or treat.
Here you go. Happy Halloween.
For your home, for your life, for more than 50 years. DeNoon Lumber.
Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration has been restoring homes after disasters for nearly 4 decades. Through that experience, we present Panhandle Custom Homes, Kitchens, and Baths. We handle your entire project, from concept to completion, working with you every step of the way. From the budget-minded upgrade to a fully custom remodel, you can trust the Panhandle name. Panhandle Custom Homes, Kitchens, and Baths. Welcome home.
Welcome back to the show. This is my favorite time each week when I have a guest with me, and this week I have with me Recreation Director for the City of Wheeling, Tom Bechtel. Thanks for being with me here this week.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
It's a great time of year.
Yeah, we're getting real busy. Starting the ball game starting that here in March, and very, very busy for the next few months. But what really keeps me in recreation, it keeps me going, the excitement of springtime.
How many years has it been now?
43 about a week ago. So
wow.
43 years. I got to give a real quick shout out. My secretary has been the same secretary for all 43 years. She's coming up on her 50th year in recreation. So we got some
that's hard to believe.
some experience.
Who
Barb
is it?
Janetsky. Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention her. Like I said, we've worked together for 43 years. So I think that's unusual in the workplace. Wouldn't you think so?
Oh, it is. And not only is it unusual, but you're very fortunate to have that because, you know, when someone else has to learn your preferences, you have to learn theirs. I mean, that creates a whole other challenge to the job.
Yeah, we always kid that in 43 years, we only know of one day that we actually had a little spat. And neither one of us will admit to what it was all about, but real cute. Her son was actually working for us at the time, and I think Billy O'Connell, you might know the O'Connell. Blamed it on me, and next morning when they come back, they had signs posted, wanted dead or alive, Barb Janetsky. Had them posted near the police department on the elevators. She laughed so hard for about a half an hour, and like I said, to this day, she won't admit what it was all about. I don't know if it was my fault or her fault, but pretty incredible for 43 years in the workforce that we've only had one day of not a great day.
It's incredible in any relationship.
Yep.
If you can disagreement or
yeah, absolutely.
It's tough to not have one a week.
And then of course my good buddy Gene Amarante, who we've been friends for over 50 years. He's been my assistant for the last 10 plus years, and he's another veteran, great to have on staff, and just Gene personally, he's just a great guy. So we're real fortunate in recreation to have some quality people. It
really is. When you can surround yourself with good people like that, then good job.
And I better give another shout out. Jimmy Daler's been my pool doobie, all set.
We're talking business, but we're having fun while we're doing it, and it just makes the day go that much easier.
Absolutely, and like I said, I'm not talking retirement yet. It's going to be down the road somewhere, but it's great just to go to work each day with such outstanding people.
Talk a little bit about what's been going on here at the city in the last year or so, and what we might see this summer. As you mentioned, games have gotten underway here in March, and now some of the high school game stuff, and the little leagues will be starting up too. But there's actually a new field also that's underway up at I-470.
Really excited. We're not going to announce who the donor is, although I think a lot of people throughout the Wheeling community know. We're waiting. He may be naming the field in honor of his father, but we're going to wait on that. He hasn't gone public with that yet, but we actually have had a donor that has built the field from A to Z. And I'll simply say this, and I know John Marshall has a fabulous field. Unfortunately, they had a little flooding here. But this field is going to be the nicest field in the Ohio Valley, bar none. It's a pony age group field. It's only one age group specific, but it is absolutely a first-class, beautiful field. We should be playing on it sometime here in mid-April.
What makes the field so great?
Well, they sodded the whole field. They brought in the infield mix, just a la PNC Park, and there's been a lot of expense putting in a first-class facility. Beautiful dugouts, a press box. Real nice viewing areas. I think you're going to really be shocked when you see the viewing areas people are actually sitting right behind the catcher. It's going to be netted, of course, but it's going to be a great viewing field, and it's a beautiful setting back there. Back in behind the Miracle League field, it's all green trees, and boy, in the middle of summer, it's just going to be the ideal setting for baseball.
So that'll be pony age kids playing?
Yeah,
there?
13 and 14-year-old boys will be playing on that field, and like I said, it is one age group specific, but that's what he wanted, and we certainly wanted to fulfill his wishes.
So that'll get Beast of the East action too this summer.
Yeah,
I'm
we've
sure.
already talked to Bo McConaughey, and we're targeted for Pony League action in the Beast, and of course we have other fields going for the Beast too. So it'll be a busy weekend come July 4th.
The I-470 complex is obviously something that's been around now for a number of years, and really contributed to the baseball, softball action here in the Valley. But there are a lot of other fields still out there that the city has to maintain, keep, and where there's action.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of our concerns. And of course, we have a new gentleman on, kind of as a creative thinker for recreation, and he's exploring all the possibilities. We have a lot of fields, and some of them are in need. The problem we have nowadays, Jamie, back in the day when there were a ton of teams and a ton of parent volunteers, some of the fields like Patterson, Bridge Park, and those were really taken care of by the citizens. And unfortunately nowadays, the number of teams have dropped off, and we actually have some of the fields that are just not utilized like they were back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So it's become an issue, and it's something the city needs to look at. Maybe we have too many fields. I mean, I never dreamed I'd ever sit in this chair and say that 20 years ago. But it's so nice at 470 because we have all the fields right there. We can maintain them to a high degree with a limited amount of time. But throughout the city, there's 30-some ball fields, and then they're spread out throughout the city. It really becomes a difficult task, and especially when some of the fields are hardly utilized. I just know if it's a good investment to put a lot of money into that field and maintain it. So it's an issue Jesse's looking at, and we definitely have some fields that need some tender loving care.
We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue speaking with Tom Bechtel about all things involving the City of Wheeling recreation. Stay with us here on the Jamie Bordas Show.
Well, I was the oldest of 9 children, so as a result of that, I grew up fighting battles for my brothers and sisters, and we grew up in some pretty tough neighborhoods. I saw juveniles and women being mistreated, and I thought that it would be a wonderful thing to be able to fight for people that were less fortunate and that couldn't fight. That other people sometimes weren't able to fight themselves.
Bordas and Bordas, fighting for justice.
Disasters happen. Pick the team that takes care of them all. Powered by offices in Wheeling, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration is ready to handle any size emergency at a moment's notice. We have the right people, knowledge, and equipment to respond 24 hours a day.
I'm Bob Huggins. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Mountaineers call, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Welcome back to the show. I've been speaking with my guest this week, Tom Bechtel, Recreation Director for the City of Wheeling. Been with the city now, as he told us, for 43 years now. And, some of the other changes we've seen during that time is now, the turf field, 16th Street field in East Wheeling.
Yeah, what a positive impact upon the city. Little concern when it first came about. Let's be honest, it was done as a replacement, as an urban renewal type project. But trust me when I say we have had so many various groups use that facility. Gene Emerani handled that for quite a while, the first 2 years. We've now turned it over to our caretaker out there, Scott Smith. But the number of groups that have utilized that field in December and even in January, and I just can't say enough positive things. And I checked around, Jamie. I don't think too many places in this country are you going to walk onto a turf field for absolutely free. Yeah. We checked with Charleston, and down there the schools pay like $55 an hour to use the field for soccer games and this and that. And I think that's one thing that's great about this Wheeling community, and it has been for my entire lifetime. They have provided a lot of programs, facilities, and things for absolutely free to the community. And I think it's one of the things that makes Wheeling one of the greatest communities in our country.
Well, there's no doubt it's one of the reasons that I, wanted to move back here after I graduated from Notre Dame was because I had opportunities to go to Chicago, New York, where some of my friends were going, and I said, this is a great place for kids. I enjoyed growing up here, and there are so many activities for kids and things that you can do, whether it be through the city's fields, parks, facilities, or going to Oglebay, or the different events that are put on by the city. And it is a really, I think, big factor in the quality of life here in the area.
Absolutely. Of course, we got to mention the YMCA. My good buddy Adam out there, they do a good job. And all the other, Oglebay Institute and all those, it's remarkable what our town has. And I'm asked often when I'm on the phone talking to other recreation directors throughout the country and what about Wheeling? Because Wheeling has a great reputation, especially through Oglebay Park. We get a lot of phone calls of that nature. And I tell every one of them, I said, if you have a job, Wheeling is the greatest place in this country to grow up. Unfortunately, there's been some issues with those issues. But if you have a job, Wheeling is absolutely one of the finest communities in America. And I think the sooner we all realize it, the better off we're going to be.
Through your commitment over the years to being involved with the various sports on time away from the city, for example, the OVAC softball championships named after you, longtime umpire, which is a fantastic thing that they did, and you inducted in the OVAC Hall of Fame, and all the other things that have been rained on you. But a lot of people may not realize that outside of your duties with the city, you've been an umpire for decades, you've been a football referee for decades, and spending a lot of time out there doing things for kids that are apart from your regular job. And one of the things that people may wonder is, what's the biggest change that you've seen in kids over the course of years?
I just read an interesting article from one of the college baseball coaches. I think it was on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. I've tried to follow some of that stuff. And his comment was, the kids really haven't changed. Maybe as adults, we've changed our expectations. And I think that's somewhat true. I mean, I think, this generation has wanted to provide for their kids, which is great. But I think kids still want high expectations. They want to be good athletes, and I think it's just changed. There's a lot more parental involvement, and unfortunately, some of it hasn't been for the good.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've noticed too is, there's been I talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the show. Sometimes too much given for just participating. Participation trophies, certificates, awards, as opposed to pushing kids to get better, to be the one that wants to win, to be competitive, and we want that drive, because that's what pushes kids to want to get that better job, to get the better education, to do whatever it may be in life to get better, to succeed.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I look back, baseball is my favorite sport. Softball now because I'm involved with the girls in that, but I was terrible at baseball. I couldn't throw, I couldn't field, and I couldn't hit. And I sat the bench more than I played when I played baseball. But you know what? I still have great memories. And there's no shame in sitting on a bench. And you know what the coach told me? Get better, next year you'll play. And the next year I got a little better and I did get to play. And I just think that's what we're missing out. And the gist of this guy's argument was, major leagues, they sit the bench. College, you sit the bench. High school, you sit the bench. And unfortunately, some of the parents nowadays, they don't even want the kids sitting the bench in high school.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Once you get in ninth grade, buddy, it's cutting time. Show us you can play. And that's just unfortunate. No one, and we do have a lot more activities. Hockey's great, lacrosse is great, all the sports, so kids can find their niche, and I love that. But I'm a big proponent of 3 sports. Play 3 sports. I don't care if it's ice hockey, field hockey, and cross country, but play 3 sports.
Yeah.
Because that's what I love about sports is, as soon as I get a little bit tired during the year of softball, guess what? It's football season.
Yeah.
As soon as I get tired of football, it's basketball season. And it's a great way to change the seasons.
Speaking of that, you've given a lot of your time into umpiring and refereeing, and we're finding that it's harder and harder to get umpires, referees, people willing to give their time to those activities that allow the kids to be able to play. And
one of my big concerns, you look around all the umpires and officials that they're getting a little long in the tooth. And I think the major issue is when we were kids, we didn't have referees. We organized our own activities, and we always said we settled the debates, we flipped the bat, we did whatever it took. And I just not so sure. Like I told my sister once, her daughters who were good basketball players probably never played a game there wasn't a referee on the floor. And that's something you miss, because I can remember with the older kids, Bo McConney and those guys, we used to fight on the playground, and we settled our arguments. And when the older guys said that's the way it was, well, that was the rule, And I just think kids are missing out on nowadays that everything has to be organized and it's all structured. And we had our best days. I grew up on the Elks playground, and all those guys from the Elks playground are still my friends, and we have memories that will last a lifetime.
You know how you can really determine that? Ask a kid, find a 9 or 10-year-old kid and ask them what a ghost runner is.
Yeah,
they don't have any idea. They don't have the first
They don't know
clue.
nothing about flipping bats and choosing sides. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I lived in Bethel, and we played 4-on-4 baseball every day. 4-on-4. We had a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I really appreciate you being here today.
My pleasure.
Thanks for all you do in the community. You're a former community champion of the week here on the show early on last in the fall. So.
I'll be honest, I was telling Dawn there, I try to watch when I can, but unfortunately I'm never home. I'm always up at 470 umpiring games, fixing fields or whatever, and as long as I'm healthy, I'm going to continue that. Maybe when I get older, I'll be able to watch your show every week.
There we go.
All right.
Well, I appreciate it anytime you watch it. I
Jamie,
certainly appreciate
my
being here
pleasure,
today.
brother. Thank you.
We need to take a break. When we come back, I'll be talking more sports. Stay with us here on the Jamie Bordas Show.
Don't forget to do your homework.
All right, Mom. Trick or treat.
Here you go. Happy Halloween.
For your home, for your life, for more than 50 years, DeNoon Lumber.
We've obtained the record results in almost every field of law.
And other attorneys can't say we've had the largest verdict in this field. We can. We've done these things. We've tried these cases. We've gotten the big results. We've gotten the big verdicts. That sets us apart.
I think that says something to insurance companies. It says something to corporations that this is a firm to be reckoned with.
It's not the size of the verdict that's so important. It's the change that we hope to bring about.
Bordas and Bordas, fighting for justice.
Welcome back to the show. It's time to talk sports. Been doing that a little bit already during the course of the show here today. We're talking with Tom Bechtel, the recreation director for the city of Wheeling, and it was great having him on the show. But it is baseball season. Pirates will be opening up this week along with the other major league teams, and looks to be an exciting first month of the season for the Pirates. I mean, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Cubs twice, the Cardinals. You know, you look at all of those different series, and exciting, but a challenge for the Pirates. It looks to be the first month of the season. Anytime you're in the division with right now the Cubs and the Cardinals, it's a challenge. But also, you know, throw the Yankees into the mix, which will bring, you know, sometimes the Yankees, the circus comes to town when the Yankees come. I mean, they don't come to PNC Park too often. They'll be there, you know, April, I think it's 21, 22, 23 for a 3-game series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, and opening the year, you know, with the Red Sox, you know, in Boston. So, you know, a little bit of the mystique of Fenway that the National League players don't see too often. So interesting to see what happens. But you know, what I really want to see, I think everybody wants to see, is what's Andrew McCutchen going to do? What's he going to be like in right field? What's his back going to do? You know, the whole outfield shakeup with, you know, Marte in center, Polanco in left. What's that going to be like? Can Josh Bell be an everyday first baseman? And of course, one of the big stories here in recent days, you know, Jung Ho Kang denied his visa to come into the United States because of his legal troubles that he's had over in Korea. So you know, how's that going to affect the team? You know, Freeze will be at third, you know, not being relieved by Kang, you know, not sharing any time there. Of course, Josh Harrison, hopefully healthy here and back in the mix, but let's take a look at the arms. Let's see what they do early in the season. Is Garrett Cole going to return to form? You know, is McCutchen going to have a season unlike the one that he had last year? So I'm excited for baseball to be starting. My prediction for the Pirates this year, I'll say they are a playoff team this year. I'll say they do make a run, and I think it'll be a really exciting season. So let's keep our eye out. You know, tough when you're with, as I said, you're with the Cubs and Cardinals, but I'll say the Pirates do make the playoffs this year and have a really nice run. Some other local sports. West Liberty University, as we know, lost basketball coach Jim Crutchfield, we talked about recently on the show, but have a new coach now, Ben Hallett, longtime affiliation now with West Liberty, only 30 years old, but was a player there and now has been an assistant coach there under Coach Crutchfield since he finished his playing days. So very, very familiar with the program. Says he's going to run the same style, tempo, put maybe his own few wrinkles there, and that's what you do as a coach. You want to, you know, if you've had success and you're taking over a program, you want to maintain that success, some of the traditions, but you want to put your own little wrinkle here and there. And, you know, he'll probably breathe some energy into that program.